Okay, so today we are going to learn a little bit about Photoshop, and we are going to create an image that looks a little bit like this using Photoshop. So there's a few steps that we need to take in order to be able to do this. First, you need to open Photoshop. Once you have got Photoshop open, you need to make yourself a new document. So your screen will probably come up with this straight away because you've just opened Photoshop. But what we're going to do is we're going to make an A3 document. So we click Print, we click View All Presets, we find A3, and we want to make it landscape, not portrait. So landscape is here, portrait is here, so we want to click the landscape and then click Create. On this page we are going to put some text saying the rock, we are going to put an image of the rock, and we are going to put a blue mark of the rock as well. So we need to go to our web browser and find a picture to start with. So I've already searched for my rock here. What you're looking for is an image that has a nice white background rather than a multicolored background like this one. So choose yourself any celebrity, I don't mind which, but make sure it has a nice plain background of the same color. This one would probably work, but the more consistent the color is in the background, the better it's going to be. Once you've got your image, copy your image, go back to Photoshop and paste your image. You can either paste or you can click Control V. You will paste your image. So now we have the rock on our page. He's a little bit small, he needs to be made a little bit bigger, which I'm going to show you how to do next. Before we do that though, I'm going to show you briefly about layers. So on the right hand side of the screen here we have what's called palettes. So this one down here is our layers palette. This one up here is the colors palette. So we're going to be working at the moment in the layers palette. You can see that there is layer 1 and there is background. If I turn off the background by clicking the eye, you will see that layer 1, this layer, is just the rock. If I turn off this layer, then everything disappears, and this grid texture means that there is nothing on the page. So we're going to turn the rock back on for a minute. To make life simpler, we're going to label this layer. So we're going to call it the rock image. To do that, I just double click on the writing and I write in the rock image. We now need to resize him. So what we're looking for is under Edit, Free Transform. You'll see next to Free Transform there is a little symbol and T, which means that if you hit Control T, it will give you the same result. So we click this, we get these little boxes. Alternatively, you hit Control T and you get the same boxes. Once you have these boxes, you are now able to resize your picture. So we click on the corner, drag it out, and we resize. If you make a mistake, you can go Control Z to undo it, or you can resize until you get to the size that you're happy with. So we're going to make them about that big. Now, to get rid of these boxes and to apply our transformation, we either hit Enter or we can click up here to the Move tool. So we're going to hit Enter, and we now have the rock made nice and big on our page. He's not in the middle though, so we're going to need to move this layer and just this layer up to the middle. So the other side of the screen, the right hand side, these are all our tools. So the one we want to start with is the Move tool. You will see that where it says Move tool, underneath that turtle there's a V. So the shortcut, the keyboard shortcut is V. So if I tap V, I get my Move tool. When I click, he now moves around. And we'll stick him roughly in the middle of the page. Now we're going to get some text and we're going to put it on to here so that we can get the rock written nicely behind Dwayne Johnson here. So the text is another tool. So down here we keep going down until we get to T, which is the text tool. You'll see the shortcut is T for text. So hit T on your keyboard or click there and you will now have the text tool enabled. There are two ways of drawing text which are slightly different. I want you to get into the habit of clicking and dragging a box and writing your text in there, rather than clicking once and getting a line. So once you have clicked your text box, and yours is going to default to be a lot smaller, so click there, click and drag, okay, and you're going to write The Rock, or whoever your celebrity is. We now have a text box. Same as before, we have these toggle switches so we can move this around. Once you have written your text, you are going to press enter. Now the two enters do slightly different things. If you want to enter to go down a line, you press the enter that is next to the little apostrophe button closer to the letters on your keyboard, and if you want to apply the box, you need to hit the enter that is near the numbers. They do slightly different things. So we have now applied this text, so I can move this text with the move tool. Right, but it needs to be a lot bigger. What is this here? Go away. So we're going to get our text tool back, because I'm not in the text at the moment. I need to click. If you see, the cursor will change. At the moment it's got a little box around the cursor. If I move it on top of the text, that little box disappears, and I can click and I can go and edit the text that I was working on. I'm going to make it huge. I'm going to make it 150 points. I'm going to write 150 in here. And you can see it's kind of disappeared out of my box, so I need to make my box bigger with my text tool. Right, now I've got my text here. So what I need to do now is press enter, the one next to the numbers, and I have now applied my text. So here we have our text, and you will see that it's on top in the layers palette on top of the rock image. We've got the rock text. So what we actually want to do is we want to have, if we look at our reference image, we have the text behind the image. So to put it behind, we change the order of these layers. Whichever layer is at the top of this list is the thing that is most visible. So we click this and we drag it to move it behind the rock image. The problem with this is we've now hidden a bunch of this writing behind this white, and we need to get rid of this white. So let's get rid of the white. The tool we're going to use to get rid of the white is called the Magic Wand tool. The Magic Wand tool is the fourth one down, and it may well be hidden on yours behind another tool. So click and hold here and you will get to the hidden tools underneath, and we're going to go for the Magic Wand tool. The Magic Wand tool selects colors similar to the color that you select. Now if I click here, you would think it's going to select all the white around the rock, but it's not going to, and I will show you why. If I click there, it has made these little marching ants, which is my selection, around the E and the C. That is because I am currently working in this layer. So what I need to do is I need to click in this layer when I'm doing my selection. So I need to get rid of this selection. So up the top here, you have select, and we need to go deselect. Now that I'm selected in the right layer down here, if I get my Magic Wand tool and I click on the white, it has made these nice marching ants around the white of Dwayne Johnson. Now it's as simple as me pressing delete and all that white disappears. I need to deselect my marching ants here, so select, deselect, and I have now got this guy cut out nicely with these edges. Now if I come back to my text layer, get my move tool, I can move this text behind the rock. If we look at the example, we can see that it's angled slightly on the side. So to do that, we need to transform it, which is what you guys did before, which is an edit, transform, free transform, or Control T. And if you move your cursor near to the corner, you get resize. If you keep moving out, you eventually get this curvy arrow, which is the rotate tool. So we're going to rotate this round. So it's on an angle behind the rock. Press enter. And then I just want to move it. I might twist it a little bit more, so Control T, twist it a little bit more, press enter, and get it so it's just behind so we can read it and it's a little bit hidden. The last thing we need to do is create the blue dot behind. So for the blue dot, we're going to use the paintbrush. So we get our paintbrush, which is down here, which is B for brush. Your brush is going to cancel, we don't want to do that. Your brush is going to be very small. So when you click the brush tool, you're going to end up with a tiny little dot like this somewhere, and if you colour in, you will end up colouring a certain colour. We want to make that brush a lot bigger, so we want to make a nice fuzzy bit just behind him. So if we right click anywhere, we get the size, and we're going to drag this up, check, needs to be a bit bigger, drag it up, yeah, so we're going to be about that big. I want the hardness right down low. If I have the hardness high, you see it makes it so it's got real solid edges. If I have the hardness right down low, it makes it so it's got real fluffy edges. Right, the color, you choose your color. So over here or up here, depending on what you've got selected in this palette, you might have to click over here to where this top box is, and it says set foreground color. So click there, you can select any color you want. Or you can, if you've got this palette open on the top right, you can choose from over here to get your color. Right, so then we do some color. Now, the problem with this is I've just colored on top of the rock, which is no good. We've just deleted the rock. So we're going to undo that with Control Z. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a new layer, which is down in the layers palette just next to the rubbish bin. So it's the box with a plus in the middle, so you're going to click this one. Now we have a layer called layer 1, and we're going to double click that and call it blue splodge. Now when we draw on this blue splodge, this is on a separate layer to the rock, which means that if I click and drag this, it will put it behind the rock, and the rock still exists. It's not yet beneath my text, so I'm going to click and drag that so it's beneath the text. So now I have the rock on top, then I have the text in the middle, and I have the blue splodge at the back. Then if I want to see how it looks, I'm going to flick on my background, and you can see that we have a white background, blue splodge, text, then the rock. The only problem being it hasn't quite cut out round here, so maybe we can fix that by clicking the right layer, clicking the magic wand tool again, clicking down here. Oh, we can try a few different places, so we might have to do twice, so we can delete that, then we can click here, delete that, deselect, which is select, deselect, or Command D, Control D, sorry, and we are done. See how you go. Ask me if you have any questions. Good luck.